Today's American Story with Bob Dotson comes from New York City, where wounded veterans have found a new way to battle their pain. They're learning to tell their stories on stage in a most compelling way.
They are an army of wounded, now more than 20,000, who fought for us in the war against terror. For the first time, some of them are lending their voices to the National Theater Workshop of the Handicapped.
Jim Figueroa, Denver, Colorado.
Dexter Pitts, Radcliffe, Kentucky.
Michael Jernigan, St. Petersburg, Florida.
A lot of people don't realize that the hardest battle for us is the one we face after we get home.
Truman Muir Irwin joined the Florida Army National Guard 4 months after 9/11 and served in Iraq.
When you're fighting, when you're in combat, everything you deal with is things you've been trained for. And one day, you find yourself sitting at home, all by yourself, and you think back on everything you've been through, and the pain, and the loss, and you don't know how to deal with that. There's no class, there's no training for that.
Until now.
We're doing the last number right now.
Rick Curry, a Jesuit brother and founder of the workshop, invited these wounded warriors to learn how to write.
It's not journalism. This is from your heart.
Brother Curry was born without an arm, never served in the military, but realized
they all have a desperate need to tell their story, and I thought, that's it.
Learning how to act could help them tell their stories well.
His left leg was amputated, and his body was a canvas of scars.
Glaring into his terrorized face, I screamed silently for his blood.
The Afghan desert looked serene, like an oil painting, despite the hundreds of mines and unexploded ordnances we passed.
Brother Curry opened his theater school nearly 3 decades ago and has taught more than 10,000 students. Before now, none of his classes was for wounded warriors. But he figured the arts might be just the thing to turn the turmoil in their heads into something useful.
The dust and the blood and that ringing in my ears.
A roadside bomb exploded next to Truman's armored car, severing every tendon in his left foot.
I wish it were worse. I wish that I had been hurt more.
He had just swapped seats with his best friend Robert.
And I keep hearing him asking me if he could ride shotgun. If he could take my place.
Truman was spared. Robert was killed.
I see his face every day, and I ask myself, why am I so lucky? I left him there, dying in that filthy street, bleeding out into a gutter while I sat 10 feet away worried about my foot.
I don't want bitterness to set in. I want to be able to get to them now, to realize that we care.
Most of these folks will not end up seeing the bright lights of Broadway or in movies. What do they take away from this?
They're going to see the bright lights in people's eyes.
Because Brother Curry invites audiences to hear their stories.
I still have the dreams sometimes. I had this crazy one a couple nights ago where I just said screw it and cut my bad foot off with a meat cleaver. I hate it for still being there. I mean, I can walk, I can run, I'm even dancing now.
Wounds heal, pain remains. But this teaches GIs to turn that pain into something powerful. So powerful, it can lift their spirits. For today, Bob Dotson, NBC News, with an American Story in New York City.
And to learn more about the Wounded Warriors Writing Program, log on to our website at today.msnbc.com.